stream to catch up here. Okay, here we go. So welcome to this afternoon's race of the Final Fantasy Total Chaos Tournament. We have a race between Dubldrop and Raeanus. Dubldrop is a one-time world record holder of this category. Time has been lowered significantly and is held by another runner at this point in time. The Dubldrop is a 3-time participant in the tournaments. This is our 4th tournament here, and Raeanus is a relatively newer runner, but he's participating in his 2nd tournament this year here. So right off the bat, we immediately see these guys take advantage of one of the primary differences in this version compared to other versions of the game. I'm not sure what happened here with Ray. Oh, we picked up hit the wrong party order. That's not going to be helpful. So the goal here at the very beginning of the run is for them to go into this quick weapon shop, purchase a hammer, and then perform a quick equipment glitch in this version of the game. They can essentially pick up specific items along the path, either from shops or treasure chests or even drops from enemies, and utilize a version-specific glitch to allow them to turn it into more powerful pieces of equipment usually from transforming a weapon into a piece of armor and an armor into a piece of armor into a weapon. So the goal in the early going is to pick up the hammer and turn it into a piece of equipment known as the Knight's Armor. This is normally available for purchase in Melmond much later in the game, and then they put a copy of each of this on their character's glove slot or any one of these equipment slots here, and in doing so basically gives them enormous amounts of defense right off the bat so that they can quickly and easily negate the most damage from enemy encounters here. Dubldrop's off to a quick start here. He's already up to Garland. So their first goal is, to purchase that and then talk to a guard in town in order to talk to the king. And they have to make their way over to the Chaos Shrine here. If they do not talk to the king first, the shrine will be locked. They won't be able to proceed further. And then once they get in the shrine, if you notice, Dubldrop took a quick detour into one of the treasure rooms to pick up a leather cap, and he did another glitch where he turned the leather cap into a weapon called the Judgment Staff. This is an item that is normally only found in the PSP version. In the PSP exclusive bonus dungeon, it has the most attack power, I think, of any staff weapon in the game, and can be used as an item in combat to cast Flare, which is the most powerful black magic spell in the game. So right off the bat, they have extremely overpowered access to the most powerful black magic spell, and any of their characters can use that in combat. And they also have an enormous amount of defense on their characters, so random encounters are pretty much trivial to them in terms of doing any damage to them. So Double's off to a pretty good start here. Ray got a slow start and unfortunately set up his party incorrectly prior to the start of the run, and then caught that afterwards and opted to restart. So that's going to put him in a little bit behind Double going on here. There's a hefty RNG factor in this run, though, so there's plenty of time for Ray to try to catch up here and see if he can do better. So Double's in a bit of a cutscene over here. So after going to the Chaos Shrine and defeating Garland, we rescue the Princess Sarah, who was kidnapped from Cornelia. We return her to Cornelia, and the king offers his thanks by building this little bridge here. This opens up an additional portion of the map for us to be able to traverse, and then we head on our way over to Provoca, which is the next intended destination here. So if you guys have any questions about the run, please feel free to ask in chat, and I'll be happy to answer to the best of my ability. So Double's got a pretty good start going here, and Ray's just lagging behind here, but he'll get going pretty quick. So you'll notice Ray also has to talk to the princess here after he rescues her to pick up this loot key item. It's something we need in order to access the lowest part of the final dungeon of the game. And in the NES version, it was possible for you to completely miss that, not talk to her, and and miss that item. But in this version of the game, you can't miss it. You can either talk to her directly to pick it up, or if you try to exit the room, she'll initiate a quick cutscene and call you back over to give it to you. So it's better. It's usually quicker to just talk to her rather than to have her call you back. Double is making his way. He's already into Provoca here, so he's opened up already a pretty good lead. So his first destination here is he's going to be going into the item shop. As part of the early glitch, we created 5 copies of the Knight's Armor for our characters when we put 1 of each of them on our 4 characters, and then created a 5th one that we could sell for money. It sells for 18,000 gil, and then we use that to buy all the supplies we're going to need pretty much for the run. So that includes potions, antidotes, ethers, and what am I missing? Phoenix Downs, that's right. These are items that are not normally in the NES version of the game, or even I think the PS1 version of the game. They've been added beginning in the GBA version, a lot of these consumables. And you might be wondering why we even need ethers. I mean, due to the spell charge system. It's because the spell charge system in this version of the game has been actually removed and replaced with an MP system, much like many of the later Final Fantasy games. So yeah, Double's in great shape here going right now. He's making quick work of this and has his boat. But here we see probably one of the encounters Double didn't want to see here. So these, once you're on the boat here, the sea encounters tend to be some of the most problematic early encounters you might run into, and they can be difficult to run from, mostly because the Sahagan enemies tend to outspeed our characters and can be difficult to run from. So the easiest way for Double to deal with them is to use this Judgment Staff in combat to take them out. Unfortunately, it has kind of a long animation, so he just has to spend some time doing that. Ray, in the meantime, is also just plugging along here. He's got his items before pirates. Double gets another really unfortunate group here on the oceans. That's slowing him down quite a bit here. Ray's going to use the Judgment Staff here on the pirates fight to make this a much quicker fight, since if we were just to attack with our characters, it would take 3 rounds of combat. And instead, we could just use the Judgment Staff in combat to do that. Does more than enough damage to take the pirates out. So we were talking to the pirates because they had a boat that we needed to be able to progress further at this point. So once you defeat the pirate leader BK, he rewards you with the ship over here. So Double manages to get off the boat here, and it will continue on here. He's going to duck quickly into the Elven Castle and then duck out. Now the advantage of doing this is it basically moves you 2 steps closer to the Marsh Cave and doesn't risk triggering an encounter on those particular tiles. So their goal is to try to stay out of encounters as much as possible, because the encounters waste a lot of time. So they want to. There's going to be a hefty RNG factor here. It's out of their control exactly how many encounters they're going to get or what enemies they're going to see. So all they can do is manage whichever enemies they run into. So they have to find what they feel is the quickest strategy to deal with these encounters. And for the most part, that's going to be running away from them, as they don't need the experience. The equipment glitch, the properties of the equipment glitch essentially allow us to ignore the grinding that you would normally find in NES and other versions of the game. So we don't need to do that, except for one specific part that we'll see. Raeanus is getting an ambush here, so this means when they get ambushed, that means every enemy that's on the in combat gets 1 free attack against their characters. In general, it tends to waste a lot of time if they get ambushed, so they want to try to just mitigate ambushes as best as possible. And then Ray's also getting a preemptive here, and that's to his advantage. In this case, that means that his characters can take turns first in combat, or if they'd like, they can run away, and if they choose to run away during that preemptive round, their first chance to run away will be successful. So Double has made his way now to the Marsh Cave. So he's literally beelining from objective to objective at this point, because once again, we don't really need to grind additional encounters for experience at this point. Double is made his way to the bottom floor here, and he's going to be taking on the Pisca Demons encounters, which are blocking this key item, the crown. He wants to heal up beforehand just to make sure that these Pisca Demons can't take his characters down, because he doesn't want them to die. He wants the experience from this particular fight. He's getting an ogre, which is not too bad to run away from in this early going here. And once again, our best weapon against the Pisca Demons here is going to be using the Judgment Staff in combat, as I believe the Pisca Demons have 82 health, and our attacks may or may not do that much in one go. But the Judgment Staff, with the power of it, has more than enough to take them all out in one go at this stage. Ray getting another preemptive over here. Double, meanwhile, is going to be exiting Marsh Cave. So you'll notice he's making pretty quick work of running around these caverns. One of the advantages of the Marsh Cave in this version of the game is it has one of the lowest encounter rates in the game. And a lot of the issues that you might see in a normal run where people are getting paralyzed, poisoned, or blinded is less of a factor here. So they do a quick high five as Ray makes his way to the third floor while Double's on his way out. And Double makes it out. So his next destination, now that he has the crown, is going to be going over to Western Keep to give the crown to the Elven King, who is actually Astos masquerading as the Elven King. Apologies for spoilers if you guys have never played this game before. Yeah, Ray's all set here with the Pisca Demons fight, so he's just going to have to grab the crown and then make his way back out. Double, meanwhile, has made it to Western Keep and will start the Astos fight shortly. So Astos gives a lot of experience and has a lot of health at this point in the run, so we can't actually kill him in one go with our Judgment Staffs. So the strategy Double's going to be using here is going to be using or attacking with the staves with our melee characters, the Thief and the Warrior, and using the Judgment Staff as an item with the mages. Ray's getting a little unfortunate look with these gargoyles over here. Not particularly dangerous to us, but they're just slowing him down. So Astos has cast Death on Double's Thief. That's actually not too bad right now. He really just didn't want to see it on one of the mages because they want to get the mages the experience needed from this fight. If one of the melee characters dies from death, that's okay. It was a one-round fight for Double. That's what he wants to see here. He's going to res that Thief up, though, because he still wants to be able to act and try to run away with 4 characters in the party rather than just 3. And Ray is out of Marsh Cave now, and will start making his way out there. So Double's probably 1 or 2 minutes ahead at this point. It's still a little early to call this for either runner, as there's a significant RNG factor in this run, more so than most speed runs. So the RNG will play a significant factor in terms of the number of encounters people have, what enemies they see, and whether or not enemies get their chance to attack a lot or not. Plus which attacks they use. I mean, even things such as which attacks they choose to use can make a significant difference. If you see Big Eyes using gaze attacks, that's several seconds of animation time, which might paralyze a character and just make it harder to run or get through in certain encounters. Things of that nature can really impact the time for both runners. So Double's all set with Astos. Now that our mage has reached level 8, he can actually purchase and use level 3 black magic spells, in this case Fyra and Thundara, so he's going to go pick those up from the magic shop in Elfheim. He wasn't able to purchase them earlier because he didn't have the levels to do so. And now he's going to pick up gold needles. This is a safety in case characters get petrified later on in the run. They won't be petrified in the immediate future, but starting in about 7 to 10 minutes, you might see a chance where they could get petrified. And they really don't want characters to be petrified, or they don't want to be left with no way to deal with it. Now, Ray's getting really unlucky here because one of his mages was targeted by death. So that is going to set his white mage back in experience. But he did get through Astos. Double's just making his way. Now that he has the Crystal Eye that dropped from Astos, he's going to take that over to Matoya's Cave, which is kind of a lengthy distance away, unfortunately for us. So he had to walk back through Elfheim, back to his boat, sail back over here towards Cornelia at the start of the game, and then pass underneath the bridge that was built earlier, in order to reach this area here. Ray's going to start working his way over towards Matoya's Cave little by little. Double's in a little cutscene here where Matoya is explaining that she's lost the Crystal Eye. Once we give it back to her, she'll give us this convenient Jolt tonic. This will be used to wake up the Elf Prince, who is currently in a magical slumber in the town of Elfheim over here. So once again, we're going to be returning to Elfheim. So this is a big fetch quest in the early going of this run. They just have to run back and forth to get through all these objectives in order to essentially open up the next path on the world map. So they're kind of landlocked running around doing this until that happens. So Ray's fighting it. Dummel's working his way over here. He's got an ambush by Sahagins, which is not ideal for him, but they're not particularly dangerous to us. They just have the potential to waste a bunch of time. So we'll see if Double opts to flee here, or if he's going to use a strategy to try to just take them out in case the fleeing fails. It looks like he's going to split his attack, so he's going to try to flee with his other characters, or use Thundara and see which one goes off first. So it looks like Thundara went off first, so that takes care of the Sahagins here, and then he can keep moving on. Ray is almost back to his ship here. These guys are doing a little high five right here. Doubles into the Elven Castle. And he's going to give the Jolt tonic to the healer here next to the Prince, which will wake the Prince up. The Prince will reward us with the Mystic Key. And this is probably one of the most important key items we're going to get in the run. This is going to unlock a couple of treasure rooms in several locations, notably right here in the Elven Castle, and there's also a treasure room in the Cornelia Castle that are now open once he has access to the Mystic Key. And he'll be quickly ducking out of the castle and then ducking in, because it's a little quicker than walking around to get to this little treasure room. And he's going to pick up the Mithril Hammer here and the Bronze Gloves and do his next equipment glitch session. So he's going to turn the Mithril Hammer into this piece of armor known as the Thief's Armlet, and equip 3 copies on each of his characters here. This is an item that was introduced in the GBA version of the game, so it's not in the NES version or the PS1 version. And it's normally found from the bonus content of the GBA version. It gives us a defensive bonus, evasion bonus, as well as 5 points of agility, and they're going to be using the agility from this gear to try to make it so that their characters have high agility values, which gives them a greater chance to take their turns earlier in the combat order and increases their chances of running away from combat. And then additionally, Double picked up Bronze Gloves and turned that into a weapon known as the Sage's Staff, which gives an intelligence boost. So with that equipped, his spells and items used in combat will be doing more damage. And additionally, intelligence actually also helps with run chances, for whatever reason that is. I'm not really sure why that is, but it is. So then Double's destination was here in Cornelia Castle. These 2 treasure rooms in the back are open now that he has the Mystic Key. He goes in to pick up the Nitro Powder, the key item he needs to take to Mount Dwerger in the next location. Ray has visited Matoya and returned the crystal eye to her and has the Jolt tonic, so he's got to make his way to Elfheim. And Double's almost made his way over to Mount Worker here. He's just going to walk through a little bit of a forest here. In general, the runners are going to be trying to avoid forest tiles as much as possible because the encounter rate is higher on them. So they're more likely to get encounters on those particular tiles. And here Dubldrop has returned the nitro powder to this dwarf down here named Narek. He has no regard for the lives of his race, of his fellow dwarfs. He's going to plant it right here and blow up a canal. And he's going to sit there and make us watch us too. What a sick, twisted individual. Ray has returned the Jolt tonic to the Elf Prince and woken him up, and now he's going to go ahead and grab the items from the treasure room in the back here. So you might notice that Double has been performing these glitches a little bit more quickly than, oh geez, how did Ray get the item? Ray must have gotten the drop. He's seeing the crystal mail in the list of the items that can be glitched, which means he almost certainly got, I want to say the longsword drop from, no, not the longsword, that would be, that's probably the mithril sword from Astos. That's a little unfortunate for Ray. He might want to sell that in the shop at his next opportunity. So in this version of the game, a lot of the enemies have a chance to drop items after combat, unlike the original versions of the game. And one of the items that can be dropped from Astos, doesn't always drop, is called a mithril sword. If he does get that, it can interfere with glitching, as the item that it glitches into will often appear at the top of the menu and force him to take extra button presses in order to get with the item that he actually wants there. Oh, looks like we got a puzzle attempt going here on Double's side. This is a mini game that can be played at any time on the world map when you're on the ship specifically. So Double is trying to hit a home run here for this race. His goal here is to solve the 15 puzzle as quickly as he can, but he specifically wants to finish in second place. Oh, he went first place and screwed that up. Well, he can play it again if he wants to. But now he's got to get a time between 20 and 30 seconds in order to get a second place time. So this is a little bit of a mini disaster for Double here. I guess we'll see how well he does. So I'll quickly explain what happened after Double finishes here. I don't know if this is going to work in his favor or not. We'll see. He may have accidentally screwed himself. I think that's going to be a third place time. That's he's probably going to give up here. Yeah, that was an unfortunate mistake on Double's side. So what Double was trying to do is to play the mini game there, and the default times on the mini game for the first place, second place, and third place times are 30 seconds, 1 minute, and 1 minute 30 seconds. Double's goal when he launches that is he wants to finish in second place, so he has to get a time between 30 seconds and 1 minute in order to win an emergency. In order to get a 1 in 6 chance to win an emergency exit. It's an item that can be used from the menu that acts just like the White Mage spell exit. So that would take him all the way out of a dungeon or any other location. But there's only a 1 in 6 chance it drops if you happen to get second place. So ideally he wants to go as quickly as possible, close to after 30 seconds to get that. But he unfortunately played too quick on the first one and scored a first place victory. And the emergency exit is not one of the items you can win if you get a first place time. And once he did that, it also changed which times were considered first, second, and third. So then if he opted to play again, and he had to get a second place time, so he had to place between 20 seconds and 30 seconds because of his result on the first one, and he unfortunately missed the 30-second mark, so that was a third place time at that point. So he was trying to get that. I mean, generally, the goal is to try to get the emergency exit and then use it once you have completed picking up the ruby after defeating the vampire, because that saves you 3 floors of backtracking through the earth cave here, which can save a significant amount of time. It's kind of a risky race strat, though, because there's no guarantee it's going to drop. So even if Double had performed the puzzles correctly and in the time frame that he wanted to, there's still only a 1 in 6 chance the item would have dropped here. Ray, meanwhile, is playing catch-up and has afforded a bit of a catch-up opportunity due to Double's mistake here. So Double, on the other hand, is not working his way through the Cavern of Earth. It's the first of his 2 trips he's going to have to take here. Before he did that, he actually went into Melmond and purchased the most important item we need for glitching in this run. He purchased a steel gloves from the armor shop there and turned that into a PSP exclusive bonus weapon known as the Barbarian Sword. So that has more attack power than every other weapon in the game and allows us to one-shot enemies such as the vampire. So they become very much trivialized in this run. Ray looks to be having a little trouble running from Sahagins in the meantime. So this is an unfortunate ambush on Double side because he's got to sit there while all 8 of these wolves take their turns. Ray's just not having any luck with the Sahagins, though. Double really needs that white mage to run right now to keep this from losing more time, and he gets away with it. Okay, so Ray's going to go in here and buy the steel. Then he's going to sell his knight's armors, mostly just to make sure he has enough money for later on in the run, and then buy that. He still has the crystal mail he had earlier. That's not going to be a huge problem. So Ray's setup is he's going to put 2 barbarian sword on both of his warrior and thief. I mean, due to the unique properties of the equipment glitch here, it allows us to essentially ignore class and level restrictions for a lot of things. So even though the barbarian sword is a weapon that only can be equipped by the knight and the red wizard, I believe, originally, the properties of the glitch allow us to ignore that, and we can equip that on any of our characters, including the thief or even the mages if we so chose. Double is working his way back out here. He's almost out of the Cavern of Earth. Ray, meanwhile, has started his first descent in there. And Double is out. So his next destination is to take the Star Ruby he picked up in the chest after the vampire. He needs to take it over to this giant's cave, as the giant is blocking our path and on the way to another key item. So we just need him to move out of the way. Oh, looks like Double's actually walking the wrong direction. Let's see how quickly he realizes it. No, he's not realizing that this is a problem. Double is not heading where he needs to right now. He thinks he's farther ahead than he is. At this point, it seems like Double may as well almost commit to this. This is great. Oh, okay, now he realizes his mistake. He's gonna backtrack. Now he's got to figure out where he is and get back there. Okay, so he found where he was. Double accidentally walked the wrong way. He thought he was done with Earth Cave rather than done with the first trip only. So that's a mistake people will eventually make over time. I've made that mistake myself as well. Ray's got the start ruby now. Okay, so he's all set here, so he's going to start making his way out. Double, meanwhile, now on the correct path, is handing the start ruby over to the Giant here. Giant will take this and move out of the way, and then Ray, he'll be free to continue on to Sada's cave at the end of this little continent here. And Double's just standing there. Oh, I'm sorry, he's still waiting for the cutscene to play out. That's right. There's a short cutscene here while the Giant walks off, and even after he's off screen, you just still have to wait a few seconds for him to finish walking off in the background. Ray's working his way out of Cavern of Earth on the first try, and he's onto the last floor to be able to get out. Meanwhile, Double has made his way over to Sada's cave here, and as a reward for defeating the vampire, Sada will reward us with this Earth Rod over here. We need the Earth Rod to be able to access the last 2 floors of the Earth Cave and take on the Lich. It's kind of poorly designed anachronism from the original version of the game, but we have to essentially make 2 trips through the game because we have to go into there, get the Star Ruby, and since we can't proceed any further, then we have to go back out, give the Star Ruby to the Giant to unblock the path to Sada so he can give us the Earth Rod so that we can go back to the Earth Cave and get to the last 2 floors. Kind of a atrocious way to deal with it, but it's unfortunately part of the game at this point. So Ray's about to feed the Giant here. And Double just passes him on the way. Another wolf ambush for Double. I'm sure he's thrilled by this right now. Ray is making his way over to Sada to get the Earth Rod. So not much to say at this point. They're both just making their way to their next destination. So Double's on the way back to Earth Cave. Ray has made it now to the Sage's Cave. So now he's going to have the Earth Rod and we'll be ready to backtrack. He's probably about a minute, anywhere between a minute to a minute and a half behind Double right now, depending on encounters. So Double begins his second trip into Earth Cave here. He's got to go through the same 3 floors he did before. He's got to make his way all the way back to the same spot where he fought the vampire, and then afterwards he can proceed to the end of that floor, use the Earth Rod, and remove the slab that's blocking our path to the lower floors. Ray is back in the Giant's Cave. And almost got through that without an encounter. But he's in pretty good shape right now. Double sealing yet another group of wolves here. Really doesn't want to see wolves. And I mean, if he has a choice of which enemies to see, he doesn't really want to see wolves. While they tend to be easier to run from at this point in the run, they tend to be a little bit slow to deal with because they have a high agility and tend to take their turns quicker than our party members. And they can also be somewhat problematic to run from otherwise. Ray is back in the Earth Cave, so here the race is back on at this point. Double's on the 3rd floor, Ray's currently on the 1st floor, and there are 5 floors they have to get through. Double seeing a group of cockatrices here, he's gonna make the choice to either try to flee or use, I believe it's Fyra he queued up, I'm not sure if he used Fyra or Thundara. Either, I think, should kill the group of cockatrices. He's gonna use Thundara here. Thundara actually does have the quicker animation of those 2 spells. He doesn't want to risk getting petrified by those cockatrices, which is why he opted to take the chance to kill them. And now he's running into Pisca Demons here. This is the same enemy we fought back in the Marsh Cave here, and it also happens to be an unrunnable encounter here, so he doesn't really want to see that group but Thundara will make quick work of them. He doesn't want to use fire there because the Pisco Demons actually are resistant to fire and won't take as much damage. And he could use the Judgment Staff, but the Thundara animation is significantly quicker. So Ray's onto the 3rd floor. I believe Double's on the 4th floor at the moment. Ray's almost done here with the 3rd floor. Double is trying to get away from this group of Wraiths, but they are not cooperating with him right now and have paralyzed 3 of his characters. He doesn't want all 4 to get paralyzed. Looks like they're neck and neck right now. Ray got slowed down here by a group of Pisco Demons, so Double's going to hold the lead, but Ray was right on his heels for just a brief moment. They're getting close. Double is the first one to make it here. I didn't see if he took a save, though. It's generally recommended that you take a save before Lich, as Lich can cast Blizzara on our party, and it often deals more damage than our characters have HP at this point. So Double is just gonna... he's just gonna go for it here. And he doesn't do it, and that's a Blizzara. That's a wipe. Where's his save, though? Oh, back at the beginning of 3rd floor. That's going to put Ray in the lead, briefly. Indeed, I seem to have commentators cursed him. I mean, Double probably knew better than to do that, though. He's a veteran runner of this game and is well aware of the danger that Lich can cast. And now he's getting Cockatrices. So this is the danger of the Cockatrices. They can petrify our party members. And if it happens to be an ambush, it's possible for them to take out the whole party before we even have a chance to respond or run away. So Ray is through. Ray has defeated the Lich here. And for the moment is holding the lead in this match right here. We'll see how quickly Double can catch up. Double is a veteran runner of this game and knows exactly where he's going and what he's doing. Except when he's walking the wrong way towards his ship. But brain farts are real, and sometimes you just forget what you're doing. So Ray is out of the Cavern of Earth. There's a teleporter immediately behind the Lich, so we don't have to walk out, thankfully, from that. Double this time wisely taking a safety save and restoring his warrior back into fighting shape. So Double's going to try this a second time now. Ray, meanwhile, is going to make his way over to Crescent Lake. Once we have defeated the Lich, one of the sages there will reward us with a canoe. Oh, Double got screwed up again here. He's trying to do 1200 damage with his melee characters before Lich can take his turn. And Lich has a chance to either do like a physical attack, or he can cast Blizzara. So there's a chance that even if Double underdamages, Lich may not kill us, but if Lich opts to use Blizzara, that's usually a wipe. This is generally why runners are advised to take a safety save before Lich, because this is a possibility that can happen. So one more time, he's going to try. He underdamaged yet again. But it looks like He cooperated enough this time to actually not cast Blizzara a third time in a row. Okay, so Ray's made his way over here to Crescent Lake here, and he's gonna pick up a mithril axe and turn that into a piece of gear known as the Black Garb and put that on, let's see if he puts it on 2 or 3 characters. So this is another item that comes primarily from the bonus content in the GBA and PSP versions. It's not in the original game. This particular piece of equipment has even more defensive power than the Thief's Armlet we got earlier, and additionally adds 10 points of agility for each copy that's equipped on each character. So these characters will have essentially 3 copies of it on their character, and that results in 30 points of agility. Double finally all set with an out of Earth Cave. Will begin to make his way over and trying to catch up here. Ray gets the canoe from this sage. Now that we've defeated the Lich, he rewards us with the canoe. We need that to be able to reach a couple other destinations on the world map, notably the Ice Cave, which will be our next destination here. So now Double's making his way to the correct location and sailing over here. Ray is back on his boat from Crescent. He'll start making his way towards the Ice Cave here, so he can actually dock at this little river mouth up here. And once he has the canoe, he can actually just go straight onto the canoe. You'll notice Double otherwise has to land his ship at these specific dock tiles here. They can't land their ship and embark and disembark at any location. They have to specifically do it either on these dock tiles or at a location where a river meets the ocean once they have the canoe. So Ray's making quick work of this and is on his way to the Ice Cave. Double's in a group with a bunch of the poisonous enemies, which is okay. He wants to actually set up some HP loss on his warrior and thief for an upcoming grind that will be happening in the Earth Cave. The ultimate goal is going to be he wants to clear or have his melee characters killed off so that his mages are the only ones left standing when we get to the Evil Eye encounter. And then we'll be grinding for about a minute and a half or so against Evil Eyes in an attempt to gain experience for our mages. By having 2 of the characters dead at that point, it doubles the amount of experience that the mages will receive at the end of combat. So Ray gets to the Ice Cave and wisely safety saves as soon as he gets here, as this is one of the most dangerous locations in the entire game in terms of the results of the encounters that you can run into. You can run into undead groups that can paralyze you. You can run into Pisco Demon groups which slow you down. You can run into Cockatrice groups which can petrify you. You can run into White Dragons which can wipe your group. You can even run into Mind Flayers which could paralyze or kill your group. There's a lot of ways to die, and none of them are very pleasant here. So they have to just very carefully make their way through this. Ray has his party set up just the way he wants to right now. He's got his warrior and thief under 70 HP. He specifically wants that because Evil Eye is likely to open up combat with a spell called Thundara, which will do somewhere between 70 and 100 damage to his characters, and he wants the Evil Eye to use that and kill them off if they're not already killed off by that point. So we already have the warrior killed off for Ray, which is no big consequence. He wanted that to happen anyway. So who is winning right now? Due to a couple of mistakes and a little unfortunate luck, it looks like Raeanus is currently in the lead here, as he's the first one to enter Ice Cave. Dubldrop had some unfortunate problems with navigating his way towards the second trip of Earth Cave, and he also did not safety save in front of Lich, as is generally recommended, and that cost him a few minutes as he had to backtrack, and also had to reset once or twice more, as his characters did not kill Lich in one turn, and he was countered with Blizzara. Ray wisely opting to use a Judgment Staff on this encounter because 2 out of 3 of his characters were paralyzed, and he doesn't want all of his party members to get paralyzed here. Now he's going to walk back and forth on these damage tiles here just to make sure that his melee characters are low health, and then heal his mages back up here. There's no encounters when stepping on these, but each step he takes does 1 damage to each party member. Ray trying to run from this Ice Gigas here. Unfortunately, this is not runnable, so this is a bit of a mistake here. See, Ray is trying to run away from this Gigas, but he can't run away from it. So he could try as long as he wants. He's not actually going to get any feedback that he can't run from this. He has to know that he can't run from it, or realize that he can't run, and then take care of it. The game will continue to let you try to run, but you will not be able to successfully run away from them. Dubldrop, meanwhile, has started Ice Cave. Ray has reached the grind spot here against the Evil Eye, so each time he steps on this specific tile in front of the Levistone, it's going to begin an encounter with Evil Eye here. So he's gotten his setup perfect at this point. He wants his melees killed off so that his mages are the only ones left standing. Once this happens, they get all the experience rather than splitting it among 4 party members. So he's going to be repeating this fight against them to get his mages roughly to level 18. Double, meanwhile, is, I believe, on the 2nd floor now, working his way through the Cavern of Earth. So he's only a few floors back of Raeanus right now. Double not playing around with his group of Wraiths and Spectres. They can paralyze his characters if he's unlucky. Double luckily getting a preemptive here against Dark Wizards. If that's an ambush, that could have easily ended his run, and then he would probably have to load his save back at the start of Ice Cave. That could have easily cost him another minute or so. Once again, getting another group of Spectres, Wraiths and Whites. I'm sorry, Wraiths and Spectres, but this time, each time he steps on that particular tile, the only way to progress through this dungeon is falling through a couple of cracked ice tiles in specific locations. And when you step on that, it usually drops you down here, and the very first step there is a forced encounter with a group of undead. Ray should be almost all set with his... Yep, he's level 18 on his guy, so he's all set. He's going to res the Thief. He's going to leave the Warrior down, though. This is an effort to try to get some experience for the Thief from this point on to see if he might get haste later. It's not a guarantee, though. So Ray is now going to work his way out of Ice Cave. Yeah, Ray is pretty much the whole grind ahead of him right now, which is roughly a minute and a half. Double is having no luck with this group of enemies here. Choosing to Thundar here. I'm not sure if that was the better play or if it was... Oh, it looks like it was enough. So yeah, Double's gotten to the grind spot here. Ray has just made his way out of Ice Cave here and can continue on. So that's the last grinding that Ray is planning to do for the rest of the run at this point. Double luckily gets exactly what he wants on the first turn, it looks like. So now he's going to begin the grind in earnest. His melees have been killed off, and now his mages will be getting double the experience. And they have both picked up the Levistone here. It's also very possible for a runner to get to this point, grind their levels, and forget to pick up the Levistone, and that is one of the worst mistakes you can make in this category, especially in a race. Because if you fall down, you have to make your way back over here and fight another Evil Eye to pick it up again. And if you don't realize it, you can get as far as picking up the airship or the location where you're supposed to pick up the airship before you realize you didn't pick it up. And that is a huge time loss. Thankfully, neither one of them forgot it today. That's a mistake that almost every runner has made at some point, though, unfortunately. Just something you kind of learn. Double is at level 17 here. So he's either going to get in one more fight or he's going to go for 18. We'll see what he's going to do here. This might also get him to 18. That got his mages to 18, so he should be all set here. So he's going to move on. And once again, this is a forced fight here, but that one is runnable. So his mages and everybody are healed up. Ray has reached the desert where the airship was buried and presented the Levistone here, so it raised it from the desert. Now he's got to make his way over to the Citadel of Trials. He's going to park way to the east because it's the closest landing spot for the airship, and then he's got to take a long walk on the overworld to reach the Citadel. You might know it as the Castle of the Bordeals from the NES version as well. Got to work their way through this little desert here, and then a forest and marsh area, and then cross a small river. Double's all set with Ice Cave, so mistakes notwithstanding, he's just gonna have to do his best to catch up at this point. Ray is almost to the Citadel here. Technically, this is an optional part. This is an optional area you can visit in this game. But in this particular category of the game, grabbing the Rat's Tail at the end of the Citadel allows us to change classes, and changing classes allows our Black Mage to learn Teleport, which saves a significant amount of time backtracking. So venturing here in order to be able to get Teleport ultimately saves us some time in later dungeons, especially Waterfall Cavern and some time in Sunken Shrine as well. So Ray's going to make his way through the teleporter room over here. Some of these rooms have one or two teleporters. He just has to take the right one to continue on. If he takes the wrong one, it puts him back at the start of the floor. Most of the runners know exactly which one to take in each room. Although this is a tournament for veterans and newcomers alike, so it's totally possible to witness someone who might not know where they're going here in one of these runs. That's okay though. This tournament is for people and players of all skill levels. So Ray made his way through the teleporter maze. Now he's on the third floor here, and he's got to make his way around to grab the Rat's Tail. But first he's got to get into this room. As soon as he steps in this room, it forces a fight with nightmares on that specific tile. Every time he steps on that, he's going to get an encounter there, and he's also got to pick up the healing staff from the chest there, as he's going to need that to glitch a piece of armor known as the Lordly Robes later on. Double's got his airship and is making his way to Citadel here. Slightly overshot his landing destination, but he's on his way. Right, actually having a pretty good run here, and he makes it to this chest to grab the Rat's Tail. And then he's got to get out of the dungeon, so he steps towards that little throne to take a teleporter out. But the step in front of it is a dragon zombie forced encounter. He can't run away from that either, so he has to take it on. And he's checking the menu to see if his character's reached level 19, specifically his mage is level 19. As that's the level required for them to grab all of the spells they will need throughout the run. Looks like Ray's mages did indeed hit level 19 correctly. So Ray is all set at this point. And once again, they're going to do a quick high five here. As Ray is on his way out of the Citadel and Double's on his way in. We got a sandworm here on Ray's side. This could be a little dangerous, especially in an ambush situation, or if he fails to run away from it, as the sandworm can cast Earthquake, and that can wipe our party at this point in time if we're really unlucky. So Ray takes the wise option and opts to kill it instead of trying to run away from it. Alright, Ray has made his way back to his airship and now has to get over here to the Dragon Caves, specifically Bahamut's Cave, where he can turn the Rat Tail into Bahamut in order to get the class change for all of his characters. Double's working his way through the teleporter maze, is all set with that, and begins the 3rd floor. Gets a preemptive against Mind Flayers, which is a good thing. He doesn't want to see those, especially in an ambush. Double taking on the Nightmares here. It's technically a runnable encounter here on this tile. But in general, with the way we set up the experience in the run, we want to be able to take that fight, and it often is a very difficult fight to run from, even with our gear. So it's usually quicker to just attack and kill those rather than try to run away from them. Ray is all set with the class change here and has to just make his way out of the Dragon Caves onto his ship. Looks like he got momentarily confused about which way he wanted to go. So he gets an encounter on this little island here. Ray's next destination is going to be the Desert Caravan. Double getting an ambush over here, which is unfortunate. Not likely to be very painful for him, but it's just going to waste time more than anything. So Ray is going to pick up a Fairies bottle here from there, and new to this version is the vendor here sells additional items once you buy the bottled fairy here. Specifically, he offers a range of tonics that can be used in combat to enhance various stats of our characters. He picked up 11 Giants Tonics. This is an item that can be used in combat to raise a character's maximum HP by 200 for the duration of the combat. It's going to be used mostly as a safety item for the final fight against Chaos. It depends on how much HP our Thief and Black Mage specifically get from their level ups over the course of the run. Ideally, he wants to see his Thief over 300 max HP, and ideally wants to see at least 250 or so from his Black Mage in order to survive Chaos's most dangerous attacks. But if they don't get that, they can use the tonics to raise their max HP and then use that and get around that instead. Ray getting unfortunately blocked by this NPC in Gaia. It was in a kind of a bad spot there, so Ray had to push him out of the way. But we stop over to Gaia to unleash the Bottle Fairy, and the fairy rewards us with the key item Oxy Ale, which we need to be able to get into the Sunken Shrine dungeon. So Ray's all set there. Double, meanwhile, is making his way back to his ship to go over to Bahamut's Cave. Still probably a 1 or 2 minute lead for Ray right now. So Ray has gotten the Oxyel and got out of Gaia, and then makes a quick detour here over to Mount Gulg. This is one of the 4 main dungeons that houses one of the 4 main bosses we have to take care of in order to access the final boss, Chaos. So at the bottom of this one is the Fiend Merilith, and this is a convenient time to basically do this dungeon. We don't have any other restrictions in order to be able to get in here. Ray's having a lot of trouble getting away from this Sphinx group for some reason, so he's going to opt to kill it. It is a runnable group, so we just got bad luck there. So you'll see Ray, in general, prioritizing trying to run on these lava tiles, as each time he runs on a lava tile, it damages his party for 1 damage, but importantly, he can't get any random encounters while he's walking on these tiles. So if he maximizes the number of tiles, it reduces the likelihood of him getting encounters on the whole. But he's got to be very careful that he doesn't, unfortunately, lower the HP of his characters so much that they're vulnerable to the enemies that he might run into. So his characters are a little low right now, and this Fire Hydra could do a blaze attack, which could kill our party members if they're low enough. But It's kind of a rare occurrence, so Ray's just going to power through and actually makes it all the way through with only, I think, the 1 or 2 encounters, which is a pretty good Mount Gog overall. Double, meanwhile, has finished shopping at the caravan and is heading over to Guy to unleash the Bottled Fairy. Gap, he's... The gap is probably 1 to 2 minutes somewhere in there right now. So Double has got his Oxyale. Ray, meanwhile, has taken down Marilith. Marilith is a bit of a pushover in this particular version due to the incredibly overpowered equipment we have. The worst attack she can do is open with Fyra against us. But the HP totals of our characters, it's not enough to take them down unless they were weakened and they opted not to heal before the fight. So Double begins his trek down Mount Gog now, while Ray is stuck watching a little cutscene here. So after the defeat of each of the major bosses, the Fiends, there's a short cutscene that has been added in this version to show the bonus dungeons being unlocked one by one, as each of the dungeons corresponds to one of the elemental fiends. It's unskippable, unfortunately. Double getting a group of hellhounds over here. Lucky for him, it's a preemptive. Double's running a little low on health, though, so he's gonna opt to use his potions just to make sure he's not super vulnerable. Ray, now that he's finished with Mount Gog, has enough experience for shopping for all of the spells that he needs for the remaining run. So his first destination is to go to Alfheim and pick up Haste and Blazar for his characters, specifically his Black Mage, and also Haste for his Thief if it has enough experience for that. And then he also has to come here to Melmond, pick up Healara for the White Mage, and teleport for the Black Mage. Double's going to start the Marilith fight over here. He's going to try to one-round this fight with his Warrior and Thief. He needs to do 1,440 damage to do this in one round. He can optionally attack with the Lust Dagger on his other characters if he so chooses. That was a really low damage roll from the Warrior, but the extra damage from the Black Mage made that happen. Ray's all set with his... Oh, he even got a golden apple drop. Nice. I believe that can be used to raise a character's max HP. Not a very common drop to see, that's for sure. Ray has made his way over to Onrak, which houses the entrance to the Sunken Shrine. Now that we have the Oxyale, we can actually enter that. Just have to proceed through the town to get over to the NPC that's telling us about it. Once again, we can't land like directly next to Sunken Shrine, as there's a lot of forest around there, and we can't land on forest tiles with the airship. So we have to land a little bit to the west in this case, and then walk over. There's a short cutscene here, which Ray is skipping. Double gets one post-Marilith encounter in Mount Gog, which is unfortunate for him. Alright, Double's going to start his spell shopping trips. Ray's checking his equipment, and he's taking a quick safety save here at the start of Sunken Shrine. So he's got two objectives here in the Sunken Shrine now that he can get in here. His first one is he wants to go to the top floor and pick up the Rosetta Stone key item. He's going to need that in order to reach the dungeon featuring Tiamat later on. And then he's going to go and confront Kraken on the bottom floor afterwards. So Ray has to go one more floor up in order to get there. He's having a good run so far through there, but he ran into this group of Sahagan Prince and Chiefs. And unfortunately for him, this is an unrunnable combination. So if he sees this, his quickest way to take them out is to use Thundara with his Black Mage. There's a couple other unrunnable formations he doesn't really want to see either. We'll point them out if and when they see them. Sea snakes are okay though. Usually pretty easy to run from at this point. So Ray is on the top floor here. There's no encounters on this floor. He's just got to make his way around to the chest that has the Rosetta Stone in it and pick it up. Double has landed his airship outside Onrak and is just walking over. And Ray gets the Rosetta Stone here. So now we're going to see the first instance of teleport, so Ray doesn't have to walk all the way back on that floor. So this will put him at the end of the previous floor. And he's going to do it twice to basically backtrack both of these floors. And then he's going to head in the opposite direction on the first floor that he started on. And start heading left instead to make his way towards Kraken. There's one other thing he's going to detour for later on in this dungeon. He's going to pick up a weapon known as a light axe from one of the chests there and then glitch that into another piece of equipment from the bonus content in this version of the game called the Survival Vest. We'll point that out when they get there. Double, meanwhile, working on this, trying to get away from this Water Naga encounter, getting unlucky. Water Naga is responding with Thundara, which is really unlucky. This is very unusual, because this is a run-up encounter, so Double, since he had 2 tries and failed to run from that, he's just going to speed his process to make sure that he can keep moving. So Ray's on the way to Kraken, Double's on the way to the Rosetta Stone right here, and Ray's going to detour into this room to pick up the light axe from this chest. He specifically wants to approach it from the right side of that chest. If he approaches it from the left side or from underneath, there's a forced encounter. Let's see if Ray realizes his mistake here. Yes, he does. Okay, so he's going to put 3 copies of the Survival Vest using this light axe onto each of his characters, and this has even more agility than the gear that we picked up earlier. Double, I think, just saw a group of ghosts, which are another of the unrunnable formations we can see here. They're vulnerable to fire, so it's usually just best to cast Fire to take them out. So Ray's just got to get through all of this and put Survival Vests on his characters. And he's all set with that. So the Survival Vest adds 15 points of agility on each of our characters, and is the most amount of agility we'll be getting from any particular piece of armor at this point. So he won't be... There's no other piece of armor he needs to grab other than a ribbon later on for some safety against chaos. Now Double has opted to pick up a light axe. It's actually in 2 different locations in this dungeon. Double has picked up the closer of the 2 locations. And we'll be doing the same menu Ray did. He'll just be doing it a couple floors earlier than Ray did, and then he'll be making his way over to Kraken after he teleports out. Ray is on Kraken's floor now, just has to navigate it. It's kind of a long, windy floor. Double is definitely making up time at this point, though. Okay, Double's all set with his equipment glitching here, and then he's going to teleport out one more time. Ray, meanwhile, is just going to take on Kraken and try to take him down, really only with melee attacks from his melee characters. The Lust Dagger he has equipped on his mage characters is mostly just to boost their agility. It doesn't do significant amount of damage in combat, particularly against bosses, especially compared to the Barbarian Sword, but it's more than enough against enemies and random encounters for most part. Double, once again, seeing ghosts here. Since there's only 2 of them, he's going to opt to use melee attacks instead of spells. Ray gets through Kraken. Kraken, again, is kind of a pushover in this version with the gear we have. His high damage physical attacks are pretty much heavily negated almost entirely. So Ray's just all set here, has to watch this little cutscene where we watch the Lifespring Grotto open up. And he's all set, so now he's going to take the teleporter here and continue on. Double, meanwhile, looks like he's on Kraken's floor now. He just has to navigate his way to the end of it and then fight Kraken. So Ray's next destination here is the Waterfall Cavern, which is located right nearby. He's got to navigate the river to get into it. So this is a long one-floor dungeon, and these bats can often get in the way of your traversal through the dungeon here. There's also a very high encounter rate usually in this dungeon, so they're just going to have to try to get through it as quickly as possible. There's only one enemy group which is unrunnable here, which is green dragons. Ray really doesn't want to see green dragons here. Everything else he should be able to run from. And Double, once again, low rolls with his warrior. His warrior's struggling with dealing damage against these bosses today. Makes Kraken a 2-round fight, but he's okay. But here's the green dragon that Ray didn't want to see. That's unfortunate for him because he's got to stop and kill that if he sees it. Ray just working his way. Now that we have the agility gear, it's a lot easier to run away from nightmares if he sees them, so the strategy changes at this point to try to run away from them instead of fighting them as we did in Citadel. So Ray picks up the warp cube here. This is one of the 2 key items we need to be able to access the entirety of the Flying Fortress, which is the dungeon where the last of the major elemental fiends is hiding, Tiamat. And then Ray also picks up a ribbon from his chest, and he's going to glitch it into another piece of gear called the Gigantax. And then he's going to actually use the Gigantax that he made there to turn that into multiple copies of the ribbon. So he's going to turn one ribbon essentially into 3 copies, and then he'll also put one later on one of his characters. Looks like he's putting it on all of his characters right now. And then he gets to warp out using the teleport. So just as Double starts Waterfall Cave, Ray is all set with it and is making his way to the next destination. Now that he has the Rosetta Stone, he's got to take that over to Melman. One of the NPCs there can translate it for us. If he doesn't translate it, then we are unable to converse with the NPCs in the town of Lufenia, which is where we need to pick up the key item Chime. And if we can't speak with them, we can't pick up the chime. So Ray's on his way to Melmond. In the meantime, Double's making his way through the Waterfall Cave. So here's the NPC for Rain. Double gets onto the forced encounter tile here, and lucky for him, it's a preemptive. As soon as you step into that room, that first tile is a forced encounter. Typically with some combination of mummies, cockatrices, pyralisks. So Double talks to the robot here to pick up the warp cube, the key item, and the ribbon right next door. So Double's now going to glitch the ribbons onto his characters here. Ray, meanwhile, has made his way over to Lufenia and has started to walk towards it. There's only one tile that is available to land the airship in this section of the map. So he has to land it there and then take a long walk over to the town of Lufenia, located to the south. And then And Ray is getting a group of Minotaur zombies here. This is an unrunnable group. It's the same enemies that he saw in Citadel of Trials. He can see them by themselves or with troll enemies, and if he sees either formation, he's going to have to stop and kill them because they're both unrunnable. Here we see Winter Wolves here on Ray's side. Not super dangerous unless they ambush you, as they have a powerful Ice Storm attack that can do a lot of damage. But unless they ambush us, they tend to be pretty easy to get away from with our gear at this point in time. Ray talks to the NPC here now that he can converse with the NPCs and gets the chime. Now that he has the chime, he can reach both sections, or both dungeons. He can reach the Mirage Tower, and once he gets to the end of the Mirage Tower, he can use the Warp Cube to access the Flying Fortress. And at the end of the Flying Fortress lies the last of the Elemental Fiends, Tiamat. So he has all he needs to be able to get, essentially, to the end of the game at this point. He needs to go over to Mirage Tower. He needs to get back to his airship so that he can fly over to the Mirage Tower and then make his way to and kill Tiamat. And then once he's done that, he'll be all set to head into the final dungeon of the game. Double, in the meantime, is on his way to Lufenia here and lands at the landing spot. Needs to make his way over. So they're going to high five here as they keep crossing paths with each other. Ray is opting to melee all these Minotaur zombies. In general, it's quicker to cast fire against the large groups of them. Or Fyra in this case, so here we go. Ray's going to opt to use Fyra instead on this particular group because there's 4 of them. Using Fyra on 4 of them is obviously quicker than individually attacking each one. We'll try to see if we can figure out what kind of a gap they're at entering Mirage Tower. Ray right back to his ship, and unfortunately the tile that he steps on just before that triggers an encounter. And he gets back on his ship, and now he's just going to land over here a short distance away in order to get to Mirage Tower. 1:17:12 for Ray entering Mirage. So we'll see how far back Double is. It's not too far back at this point, but he does have to walk back and forth to get to his ship again. Oh, actually, Double's already all set with getting the chime, so he's on his way back already. So this is actually closing little by little. So the gap is shown currently 30 seconds at the entrance to Mirage. We'll see how much more Double has to go. So Double, once again, gets an unrunnable group here he's got to take care of before he can move on. Ray's not super worried here. The only enemy he's particularly worried about seeing in Mirage Tower here is blue dragons, as they're unrunnable. As soon as he steps on this tile, it forces an encounter with one, so he has to take care of this one. He opts to attack it with his melee characters, as they are guaranteed to do enough damage to kill it in one blow. His mages using Lust Daggers may or may not do enough damage. So there's about a minute gap right now as Double has to get through Mirage Tower. Meanwhile, Ray has finished Mirage Tower and now is beginning Flying Fortress. Doesn't want to see Evil Eye encounters though, as he's got to stop and kill those if he sees them. But there's 5 floors here in the Flying Fortress, and he's already onto the second one here. But that's already his second Evil Eye encounter, so these are slowing him down a little bit at a time. He won't see them if he gets to the 3rd floor and beyond, though, so now he can no longer see Evil Eyes on these floors. 3rd floor is a very short floor here. They don't need to detour to pick up anything. At this point, they can just continue on to Tiamat, so Ray is now onto the 4th floor that acts like a maze here. So if you were to continue to walk in any one direction, you'll essentially... the map like loops back around in all directions. So it's ultimately a 4x4 map. And you just need to go over either left or right 2 corridors and then up or down 2 corridors to go from the entrance to the next destination here. Ray He is approaching Tiamat here, and this is also where we might encounter Warmech here, so he's going to take a quick heal and safety save before something might go wrong. Double, meanwhile, has begun his ascent on Flying Fortress. And Double is 3 floors back at the moment. Ray is going to just go through this fight here. He's just going to melee Tiamat down. Tiamat only has 2,400 HP in this encounter. That can usually be taken care of in 2 rounds of attacks. Tiamat can do quite a bit of damage, though, with his Thunderbolt and Poison Gas abilities. But he did not opt to use either of those for Ray, so Ray is all set with Tiamat and is now essentially ready to go to the final dungeon after a short cutscene plays out showing the last of the bonus dungeons unlocking. Double is now on Tiamat's floor, so Double is getting... looks like he's made up a little ground here. Double opting to heal just before the fight, just in case. Tiamat can wipe you if he opts to use both Thunderbolt and Poison Gas in sequence, and you happen to leave your character's low health. So if you heal them, it guards against that happening. Tiamat fight going here on Double's side, while Ray makes his way out with unfortunately no appearance by Warmech on his side. Looks like Double has the wrong weapon equipped on his Thief. That is not helpful in this fight right now. He must have accidentally equipped the Mithril Axe that we picked up earlier. Unfortunately, he cannot change weapons in combat to put the Barbarian Sword back on that he had on earlier. He's going to have to kind of power through this and see what happens. He got him down, okay. That's a mistake I have never really seen anyone do before, is put the Mithril Axe on and use that on the Thief. I guess there's a first time for everything. So Double has to watch the cutscene here. Meanwhile, Ray's in a minor cutscene here where the entrance to the Cash Shrine is opening up. So this is right back where we fought Garland at the very beginning of the game. And Ray's going to take a quick safety save here, which is a wise idea, as this can be one of the most dangerous dungeons in the game. Has no problems with the first floor or the second floor, so now he's on the top floor of the Chaos Shrine and has to make his way to the Death Eye encounter coming up. But first, he's getting green dragons here. These are larger groups than the one you can see in Waterfall Cave. And Ray used the wrong spell against them accidentally. They're actually weak to ice, not fire. So that might cost Ray. We'll have to see what happens here. Double's got to get his Black Mage back up and in fighting condition and get out of here. Ray's in a bit of trouble here because now that he needs to use a Judgment Staff, his Black Mage went down, unfortunately, because he used the wrong spell. Lucky for Ray, he got the Judgment Staff off. That should be enough to take that group out. But Ray kind of misplayed that one, unfortunately. So that's going to cost him a little time, because now he's going to have to get his characters back up and healthy again before moving on. Okay, Ray continues on here, except he walked the wrong direction here at the very end of this little corridor. Getting more green dragons. He's going to opt to melee these ones instead, since there's only 2 of them. Okay, Ray makes it to Death Eye here. This is a forced encounter as soon as he walks in here. Ray getting one last group here of green dragons on this floor. This time he's going to cast the correct spell, Blizzard, which should take them out pretty quick. Oh, Double looks like he lined up the wrong ability. Whoops. use the Mega Elixir he actually got off of Dragon Zombies earlier. Once again, another group of... There's a question in chat asking, what is the Tail Chaos refer to? Mostly the RNG, but otherwise it's really just the name of the tournament here. The tournament's been running for 3 years now, long before the rando craze even came into effect. So this is just the PSP any % category of Final Fantasy. Expected runtimes usually between an hour 30 to an hour 40, depending on runner luck and skill. Ray using the wrong spell here against this group of Ice Gigas Winterwolf, but he does get all the wolves. Double gets through Death Eye and then gets a 9 Black Knight ambush. That really sucks in terms of just wasting time. They're not particularly dangerous here to him. Ray still holding a slight lead at this point. Ray is only 1 floor ahead of Double right now. Double has a short cutscene here while the loot plays. This is the key item we picked up from Sarah right at the very beginning of the game after we rescued her from Garland. So it removes this little block here and then lets you proceed to the lower floors. Ray getting some purple worms over here. These are unrunnable as well. It's currently 2 floors ahead of Double. This could still change though. I mean, the floor that Double's on is one of the trolliest floors, usually in the entire run. And Double does indeed get Ice Gigas Winterwolf. This is a group that he can't run from. Ray getting an ambush from White Dragons. Oh, this is not what he wants to see right now. If all 4 of these guys choose to use Ice Storm, that could be really bad for Ray. And they did. All 4 used Ice Storm. That's really unfortunate for Ray. So that's going to kill his Black Mage. He's going to have to try to get this group out. He can run away from this group, and he does get away. So that's very fortunate for Ray. Ray is probably advised to heal his party up, though. But they're actually now on the same floor, so Double has managed to catch up and is also encountering White Dragons here. Ray gets off that floor, so he's now 1 floor ahead. And he begins. This is the first of the refight floors, so they're going to fight each of the 4 Elemental Fiends a second time on this first floor. This is Lich's floor, so you're going to see many of the same enemies that we saw in Earth Cave. Except for these Earth Medusas, they don't really show up in Earth Cave. Ray is taking a quick pause and looking at his party and saving before he encounters Lich for the second time here. So as soon as he steps onto any of those tiles in front of the staircase, it forces an encounter with Lich here. It's advised for many runners to take a safety save here, as Lich is capable of casting the very same flare spell that we've been using all game, and here it is against Ray. Ray did heal though, so his most likely his Thief and Black Mage are going to die as a result, but as long as his Warrior's up, he's okay. He's going to have to stop and just heal his party though. Double, meanwhile, is healing up, and his party's a little low on health though, so this is really dangerous for Ray, or for Double, if Flare goes off. Luckily for him, Flare did not go off, but that was very dangerous. If Flare had gone off, that could have easily wiped Double's entire party, and without a save, that would have probably ended Double's run. So now they're both on the second floor. They're almost tied right now. Double has made up time. Red Dragons, wow! Double getting the rare encounter here. Luckily for him, it's a preemptive so he can run away. Yeah, Double has been ferociously fighting back the gap and looks to have taken a slight lead here just due to the fact that Ray got ambushed here and is the first one into the Marilith fight, but this could flip right back again on the next floor. So yeah, they're both in the fight here. Double's going to get out of it first because he was the first one to get in here. I just don't want to see Faraga because it's a long animation from Marilith. Yeah, that's not even 10 seconds between these two guys right now. Double onto the third floor here. This is the longest of the 4 floors. And they really don't want to see water elementals. Neither one of them want to see that because they have to stop and kill water elementals if they see them. There's Double getting a group of them, so he's going to have to take care of that. Here comes Ray. Ray gets a Water Naga water elemental group. Lucky for him, that is actually runnable. That specific formation is runnable, but if he sees water elementals by themselves, they are not runnable. So now they're both getting a group here. They need to cast Blizzard against these groups to take them out quickly. I mean, contrary to what you might think, they are not vulnerable to lightning. They are vulnerable to blizzard, or ice in this case. Not sure what happened on Ray's side. Ray is casting... He's got the right spell. So he must have low-rolled. Maybe he has the wrong gear set up on his character, because it should be able to take them out in one go. But they're basically, these guys are neck and neck right now, heading into Kraken 2. They both get into the fight pretty much within seconds of each other. They're just going to melee with their characters here, take them down. Double, forgetting that he had the memory cursor on his Black Mage. And unfortunately getting the ink animation from Kraken. So that wastes a little bit of time. Getting it twice on Double side. Okay, so Ray is through Kraken. Double is through Kraken here. Tiamat is pretty much right here immediately afterwards. Ray is checking his party just to make sure it's set up correctly. His Black Mage is looking a little low on max HP, but that's not really going to be a problem here. Now this is a problem for Double because this is a large group of purple worms. And he either has to use a Judgment Staff to kill them or melee attacks from his characters to take them out. Ray, meanwhile, starts Tiamat's fight. Thanks to the ribbon he put on earlier, it's actually saving his Black Mage from dying. If he did not have it on there, the Black Mage would have died to that Thunderbolt attack. Ray gets through Tiamat. Tiamat has 5,500 HP in this fight. Usually takes quite a few rounds of combat. 2 to 3. With haste, it can be as little as 2 rounds of combat. Otherwise, it can be 2 to 3 or 4 rounds. And Ray has one more encounter. It looks like he's got to get through. And he's off. He's onto the final floor with Chaos. There's no more random encounters for Ray at this point. So Ray is going to take a quick look at his party setup and make sure he's healed up, ethered up, and has the correct equipment on his characters. He specifically wants to make sure he's got a Sage's Staff on his White Mage, because he wants to raise that up as much as possible. He wants to raise her intelligence and lower her agility as much as possible, so that she heals as much as possible, and so that she takes her turn last in the turn order. So she looks like she's all set. That's not right. They're each just checking their party setup before they get into this. There it goes. Okay, now he's got the right setup here. Ray also going to take a safety save here. Okay, so Ray's going to be the first one into the fight. Double checking his group. And he may or may not save here. It's not strictly necessary for him if he knows what he's doing. For newer runners, it's recommended that they save in front of Chaos. So this is going to be really, really close and may come down exclusively to the animation times of the attacks that Chaos uses. So they really, really don't want to see Chaos' special attacks. Blaze, Tsunami, and Cyclone especially. So their strategy here is if they're Ninja or Black Mage didn't get enough experience or max HP over the course of the run, then they're gonna use the Giant's Tonics they picked up from the caravan earlier to raise the maximum HP of their characters, and then they're gonna be using White Mage on healing duty exclusively. Black Mage is gonna be hasting everyone in sequence, and then they're just gonna be attacking with everyone else from that point on. So both of them are gonna be doing 2 tonics on their characters, but that's really unfortunate for Ray. That's almost certainly going to be a wipe on his Black Mage. And that's a reset for Ray. So Double is once again in the lead and is once he's gotten through the first round of this, he's in pretty good shape. Not exactly sure what happened on Double side or on Ray's side. Something didn't go right, though. His white mage setup did look pretty good earlier, from what I saw. Double getting Tsunami here, which is a long animation, does a lot of damage. Not enough to kill his characters, though. And with all the intelligence gear we've loaded up on our white mage, she should be able to heal most of that back. Double getting Tsunami now. Or, I'm sorry, Cyclone in this one. And Double is all set here. I mean, after they get through the first couple of rounds, he's usually all set. Double with an official SRL time, 135.55. Ray is still working on this and could still PB at this point. His PB is a 137. We'll have to see what's going on here. Ray told me his goal before this race was to try to get a PB. So let's see what happens. Ray's still on pace right now. Let's keep going. Ray's actually in very good shape right now on this attempt. Let's see how Ray's doing. Ray should be almost done at this point. He's got this pretty much on hold X to win mode at this point, so you can just hold X to repeat the same combat commands as last round of combat. And there it is. That's Ray's time. 137.26 SRL time. A little unfortunate for Ray given his he started Chaos just before Double. But something obviously went wrong during the Chaos fight, and that proved to be the ultimate difference at the end. I hope you guys don't consider going anywhere. We'll probably have a quick interview with these guys, and then they're going to set up for a second race coming up here. So yeah, we can do. Oh yeah, I should probably do that. Do-do-do. Hopefully we can get these guys in for an interview here. We're just trying to sort that out. Honestly, that was an excellent race from Ray on his side. I'm not sure if it was a PB. I know it was close if it wasn't. But we'll keep checking on things. Okay, we'll try to get these guys in here in the next minute or so. Okay. And we're joined by our second place finisher, Raeanus. Congratulations. Was that a PB? Currently muted, Ray, just FYI.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Woo, it's a Sprint commercial.
Okay. So how was that for you? Was that the PB that you were looking for today?
Well, yes. I just would like a less rocky start next time.
Yeah, that looked like you had the wrong party at the beginning.
Yeah, I did something when I didn't have it set, just press X to start. I had to press start first and then X, so I accidentally changed the party member, and I didn't realize it until I was in the middle of the glitch.
Yeah, that's an easy mistake to make if you're not familiar with it. Or if you just accidentally make that mistake here. So, I mean, in spite of the second place finish, you had a pretty solid lead for a good portion of the run here. So you were actually hanging in there pretty tough.
I can't complain with the RNG I had. At the beginning it was a little rough, but coming out of Earth Cave was amazing. That's the best Earth Cave return trip I've ever had.
Yeah, you definitely were doing pretty good there. Duffel was making uncharacteristic mistakes, which was, I think, opening the door for you, and then his unfortunate luck with Lich was really set him back at that point. So hopefully we can get him in here shortly to get a quick interview going with him as well.
But yeah, ultimately I'm pretty happy with the run. Most of my item glitching was pretty good. My menuing wasn't too bad. I mean, the Chaos Shrine was a little rough, but I think I just needed to add another Lordly Robes to the Black Mage so the AoE spells were more effective.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see quite what happened on Chaos here on the first attempt.
I forgot to heal. I had everything set up, but I forgot to heal everybody up before I went in. So losing 2 party members on the first AoE spell was just not going to work. I kept the run going, hoping that Chaos would hit the warrior, because I was pretty sure the warrior would survive a physical hit.
Yeah, that was unfortunately, I think that was ultimately the difference.
But I'm going to have to retime this run, because, I mean, just for submission to the leaderboard purposes, because that was a pretty solid PB for me. That's almost a whole minute if you subtract my goof at the very beginning.
Okay. Yeah. There we go. We're joined by our winner, Dubldrop. Congratulations on hanging tough in that race.
I wasn't sure for a bit if I'd pull it off. I got really tilted after the 2 deaths to Lich.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you had your 2 deaths to Lich. You made that uncharacteristic mistake of walking the wrong direction after the first trip through Earth Cavern.
Oh yeah, that I brain farted.
Yeah, that's...
But I was fine after that. It was the 3 times under damaging to Lich that got me.
So, you did ultimately pull it out. I think the ultimate difference at the end there was Ray unfortunately forgot to heal with his White Mage on the first round of Chaos fight, and that resulted in him having to wipe and do that to start the fight over. He did take a safety save, though.
I didn't save at all. I just YOLO'd it.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't even ether. I was just like, okay, I'm going. For some reason, I had a brain fart and thought back to Golden Staff strats on White Mage. That's why I was like fumbling in the menu. But like I knew I had the 1 tonic for my thief, I had double haste, so it was just go. And like worst case, I'd get enough extra DPS from that if I had to ether a round or two with my black mage, so be it.
Okay. So I was pleasantly surprised to see Ray hanging as tough as he did for that run, because I know Double is by far the more experienced of the two runners of you guys. But
shoutouts to Chime. That's what that's what got me back into it. I think I saved a full minute to Ray on Chime. It was a gold, by the way, for me personally, and that's not easy to get.
Okay. I would have to admit that I've had a little bit of anxiety coming into this, just because Double's world record, former world record run, is the one I was using as I was trying to learn this run a year and a half ago.
Yeah, Double's no slouch when it comes to this run. There's not many people with a much better time than a better PB than him in this category. But PBs don't really mean much after a certain point when we get into tournament races.
Yeah, it was a really sloppy run, to be honest. I made a lot of mistakes, but that's what doubleheaders are for. I can correct it on the second one, hopefully.
Yeah, usually I like to do a run before I do an actual tournament race.
Yeah,
just to get the jitters out. And
I didn't have time, unfortunately. What did you think of my double puzzle strat?
Well, you committed to it.
Okay, so my plan was when I saw how good the first puzzle was, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna take the Mega Elixir and save it for Chaos, and then do another attempt for emergency exit, and I got third place by, 0.9 seconds?
Or something, yeah. I saw what you were doing, and I wasn't sure if that was intentional or if you just got overexcited and finished the puzzle early.
No, it was intentional.
So, yeah, so...
I saw I was like 3 minutes ahead, so I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go for the puzzle.
So yeah,
just have fun with it.
So for those that were not here during that, Double attempted to do the puzzle early on, and instead of getting a second place time, which is what he wanted to, he opted to get a first place time, which lowered the threshold for the second place time to 30 seconds. And then he repeated the puzzle trying to finish in second place and just missed the new second place threshold and ended up getting third place. So he essentially wasted, I think, probably about a minute grand total trying to get an emergency exit and didn't get it.
I wasted a minute mainly because I didn't get or because I used the Mega Elixir on the purple worms by accident.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw you using, I believe, the Mithril Axe on the Thief, which I've never seen anyone do before.
Oh, okay, so I went into the equip menu by accident, and trying to get out of it really fast, I accidentally equipped the Mithril Axe mid-battle. And I knew I did it, but I attacked once anyway, just to be sure. And sure enough, I did it. I'm like, okay, well, at this point, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't put the Barb Sword back on him mid-battle. If it was the Warrior, it would be different, but the Thief can't put Barb Sword mid-battle.
Yeah, there's a first time for everything. I've never seen that, though.
I've done something similar more times than I care to admit. Just like in my rush trying to menu, go into the equip menu by accident.
Okay, so these guys are going to be shortly setting up for a second race. And I'll probably be bowing out, but we'll have another commentator come in, I'm hoping. But they'll begin... Okay, so they'll start setting up for that shortly. But unless you guys have any other comments or anything you wanted to discuss on this one, we'll go ahead and start getting that one set up.
Alright, I gotta run across the street real fast, but I should be back by exactly 5. I'll see you in a bit.
Okay, then we'll be back shortly, folks, with the second of the two races coming up. So thanks for watching, and just hang on, hang tight for a few minutes. We'll be right back.